Get It with Stephen Basita.
Welcome. You are now with Stephen Basita on Get It, a podcast here to help with all kinds of entrepreneurship, business, ownership, tips on just being a parent, life and business. Is there balance between life and business, and all the other fun things that go on in between? Faith, family, school, all those fun things. Just a little bit of everything. But today we're going to go over business, how to get started in business. What are you looking for? Tips that are going to help you. I know there's always a lot of information from a lot of different people, and it's sometimes hard to navigate through all that. So a little back history on me. I've opened 5 businesses myself. I sold 2 of them. One I just had to stop because I was getting so busy with my other 2 businesses. I own a fitness business called Functional Sports Performance and Training, and a basketball club. It's called Rain Basketball. I have OC Rain Basketball, IE Rain Basketball, and LV Rain Basketball. OC is for Orange County, California. IE is for the Inland Empire, California, and LV is for Las Vegas, California. So I've opened quite a few businesses. I've hired a lot of people. I've had to fire people, and I've had to learn a lot of hard lessons along the way. A lot of times, sometimes learning lessons the hard way is the best way to go about it, but I do feel that there is a huge need for realistic information to really get you started and help you with the things that are going to help push you in the right direction. I will say that I do currently consult with businesses, either startups, businesses that are failing and need help being put back in the right direction, or businesses looking to scale up. So I have a lot of experience in that world, but every business is unique and has a unique process that it's going through. And so if you're looking to get started in business, start with the most important things, which are: what city do you want to open your business in? How many people live in the city? What are the demographics? What's the average income? What's your competition look like? What's their pricing? What do their prices look like? And not that that's going to be the most important thing, but you want to have an idea. So we'll take restaurants for a minute here and just use that as our platform. Make it a little easier. Restaurants are the number 1 failing business in America. You heard it right. The number 1 failing business in America is restaurants. The average restaurant doesn't last a year, so it's a little over 85% of restaurants fail in their first year. They are the highest failing industry, and people always ask, well, why? There's a few reasons. One of those reasons, though, is because people who are really good cooks or good chefs will go and open up a restaurant, and they don't know how to run a business. They know how to make really good food. And that's really the same for so many businesses. People get into business because they're really good at something or they really enjoy it, but they don't know how to actually run a real business. So as you're getting started in looking into opening up a business, and again, we'll use restaurants. You've surveyed the land, you know what the population is, you've done the demographics, you've done the research, you know what people are into, you know what your competition's like, their pricing, all that fun stuff. Well, the next thing is, what are your startup expenses going to be? I always tell people to overestimate that. If you think your startup expenses are only going to be $150,000, say it's going to be $225,000. And then secondly, what is your immediate financial responsibility going to be? Payroll, consulting fees with people, equipment, all that kind of stuff, right? You're going to have to take out some loans or maybe have an investor or two. But what are your expenses going to be? Your overhead for supplies, your payroll and staffing, all that stuff. And then overestimate that. Let's say that your expenses are going to be $20,000 a month. We'll say it's going to be $28,000 or $30,000 a month. What are you doing as far as marketing, social media, your SEO, where you're going to rank on Google, your Yelp stuff, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter. There's one more, TikTok. That's becoming popular. Who's going to use or who's going to manage that stuff for you? You know, what kind of people are you hiring and what positions? What are you going to pay them? What are your systems and processes, which may be one of the most overlooked things? So many people go into stuff and they don't even have systems and processes. What's your systems and processes for your waiters or waitresses, for your manager, for your hostess, for your cooks, for your barbacks, for your bartenders, for your cleaners? What's your systems and processes for every person involved in your business, the person doing all of your SEO and social media? You know, do you have an HR manager? If you don't, get somebody that you can consult with. The same thing for legal. You need someone you consult with for legal. Did you get your proper paperwork done through the city, through the state? You know, what's your business license situation? What's your city license situation? I mean, you got to make sure everything is done. Who's your accountant? Are you the one managing everything or somebody else? You need to know to the penny what you're spending and what you're making, and you need to have proper projections. When you're just starting a business, it's hard to have proper projections, so you got to start with what you think is going to happen. Test the market a little bit. Before you get into a huge financial commitment, maybe you do a night where you're able to rent out a church or an empty building of some sort, anywhere, warehouse space. Just get into something where you could cook a bunch of stuff in your house or at a friend's kitchen or something, and then go to a couple of fairs or food festivals or a food tasting thing and have your start doing stuff on a low level where you can really get a feel for, do people really like your stuff? What would they be willing to pay for it? Have a gathering one night at your house where you have 50 people come over and they taste 20 different dishes and they write down on a sheet the ones they liked, rated them, why they liked them, what they didn't like. You know, really understand your market and what you're getting into. And then again, what's your systems and processes for everything? I mean, you got to think about every possible thing that could go wrong and then what can go right. But you need to have a system and process for everything. Again, so many businesses fail because they have no systems and processes. And one of the things, I was recently consulting with a company that wanted to get into doing just skill work for basketball players. That's all they were going to do. It was going to be group classes, 15 to 20 kids per class. They were going to run 3 classes a day, beginner, intermediate, advanced. And we just sit down and go through, well, you know, who are your coaches? Who did you hire? You know, what did you teach them? What are they going to do? How's everything structured? How are you marketing and advertising your stuff? You know, they had no idea of a lot of those basic concept things that they needed to have. And so being able to sit down and ask them all the questions, and then they were able to go back and figure out, okay, these are all the things I have done. These are the things I haven't done. These are the things I need to do. And then when they were able to launch, they launched the right way and they've been successful and they're still running today. It's been a couple of years. So, you know, it doesn't matter what the business is. Again, that's irrelevant. You can get into any business, but how are you going to structure your business? What are you doing to structure it? And then look at what's going to happen when you go through some pitfalls. What happens if you don't make any money in the first couple of months? Are you prepared for that? And again, that's why it's good to have SBA loans or investors or loans, or, you know, you need to have financial cushion. So again, going back to it, you know, what do you think that is going to cost you your first year? So if you take your lease, let's say you're paying $10,000 a month. Okay, well, for your first year, you need to have $120,000. So you need to plan that out when you're going through what you need in your budget. A sales and a marketing person who's also going to help with, you know, maybe you just have a sales and marketing person. Okay, well, what's that going to cost them for the salary for the year? Maybe it's 40 grand. Okay, so now you're at $160,000. You know, you need to hire a photographer and a videographer to come in and take really nice pictures and make some nice videos that you can use. You need a landing page or a website. You need an Instagram, a Facebook, all these other social media things. Who's setting all that up? Are you setting it all up? Are you doing all that work on your own? And again, it goes back to, you know, you've got to promote, advertise, and market this thing how much money are you going to put into it? Because the reality is you're going to go against the big companies that are putting a lot of money in their stuff. So you're going to market and advertise to your community at first. What's a lot of the free stuff that you can do? There is a lot of free stuff that you can do, but again, it's going to take your time. So then, the other thing that people always ask that want to go into business ownership, entrepreneurship, all that kind of stuff is, well, I just want to, work, 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours a week, whatever it is, and I want to live my life. And I just tell people, I guess that's not really a question. I'll get to the question here in a second, but people, they have this life that they want to live. And I say, if you want to be an entrepreneurship, you want to be a business owner, you're not going to live that life. And so the question is, well, why can't I live the life I want to live if I'm a business owner? Because if you're a business owner and you're just starting out, you're having to work 80, 100, 120-hour weeks because you're having to do so much stuff in the beginning to penny pinch. Unless you have some huge bankroll, either from yourself or somebody's giving you a huge investment and you've got a cushion, man, you're going to have to work really, really hard. And people don't understand that. If you have a family, if you're married, if you have friends, a lot of that gets put on the back burner. When I decided to go into owning businesses, I moved to a different state. I'm from Seattle, Washington. Well, technically I'm from Kingston, Washington, but nobody knows where that is. So I tell people Seattle. I moved from my house, from all my friends, my family, my support system, to Southern California. Orange County. I'm an hour and a half away from Mexico. Believe me, I went pretty much as far as I possibly could go. And one of the reasons was I had one of my best friends, to this day, one of my best friends, wanted to go into this business together. And Southern California is a great way to have access to a lot more people, in a smaller space. But just knowing that it was going to take so much time, needed to go somewhere where I wasn't going to be distracted. And I love my family, but like any family, they're going to be a distraction. So being able to put myself in a different place and start, and man, I had to learn a lot of really hard lessons. But get a business mentor. I mean, that's one thing I did early on that I'm incredibly grateful that I did. I actually had two business mentors, and they were in completely unrelated fields to what I was doing. So they had no real, they weren't trying to sway me one way or another out of selfish ambition, which is important too. But just being able to have somebody that can walk with you through life a little bit, it's important. And if you're just getting into business for your first time, you need to overanalyze everything. When you're presenting stuff to investors, do not give them a 40-page handbook. Show them the numbers. Show them what your startup expenses are. Why are those your startup expenses? What do you need for the year to survive for 1 year so that you can actually find your groove and make money? What are you looking at? Do you need $300,000 for your first year to make sure that you run smoothly? Do you need more? And then what's all that money going? They just need to see, hey, look, we got $40,000 for the first year going towards marketing, advertising, social media, SEO, all this stuff. These are the people, this is the person I've hired for this. I need $100,000 for staffing for the year. I need $150,000 for the lease for the first year. I need $250,000 for the equipment. What do you need? Again, overestimate it. Make sure you're finding and hiring quality people. And again, test the market, test your stuff. And for any business, especially if you're not going into a brick and mortar business, let's just say that you're doing something you can do out of your house, photography, videography, you're selling a product, whatever it is. A lot of times it's easier to go the smaller route and scale up. And for the gym business, for myself, I actually just started training my clients out in fields, in their home garages, at little tiny gyms, at LA Fitness, where I had a membership. I went the most cheap, affordable route, and I did all my own stuff, all my own marketing, advertising, everything. So I didn't have to pay anybody for that. It wasn't until I opened my actual first gym, then I took on a crazy, crazy amount of expenses, which it was crazy. And there was a lot of expenses I took on. And again, I had to learn a lot of tough lessons the hard way, but it made me better, stronger, and smarter. And I really understood why systems and processes are so important. You start to really understand so many things that are critically important to making your business run. And that came from, for me having to go through the fire a little bit, but really, really understand your market, understand where your expenses are. If you're getting into a building, understand what that commitment's like. If you're not getting into a building, then great. If you can start off cheap and work your way, to some profit and save some of that so you can get something down the road, then do it that way. And again, every business is different, but really, really make sure you have the right systems and processes, because at the end of the day, you personally can only do so much to make so much. You're going to want to hire people to help because there's one of you. So the more people that you hire to help, the more efficient you're going to be. So have your systems and processes down, know what your vision is, know where you're trying to go and what you're trying to do, and then have fun with it. This is Steven Basita.
Get it. Just want to let you know this podcast is sponsored in part by Functional Sports Performance. FSPIrvine.com. Get in the best shape of your life.